RFK Jr. and Jill Stein are both being sued by the DNC. Now, we're going to start with RFK Jr. first, because I remember when we were talking about ballot access with New York. I do remember, Jill Stein announced that they didn't get ballot access, but other people were saying, well, RFK got on there. And I said, well, RFK has a lot of money. He had a lot of money to be able to do that, right? But now it seems like even having a lot of money may not work for him after all either in New York. Peep this. New York voters backed by DNC sued to keep RFK Jr. off the ballot. Everybody see this? So it's already happening. Yeah, he got on there, or he got the requirements, but now they're doing what they do to make sure that he's not on the ballot in New York, which is particularly interesting considering New York is going to be blue anyway. So you would think you would see this pressure come from a swing state, right? So listen to this. 2 New York residents backed by the DNC have sued RFK Jr. to try to keep the independent presidential candidate off the November ballot in their state. They are accusing his campaign of submitting invalid petition signatures and engaging in fraudulent activities to collect them. Okay, so this is what they usually do. They will tell you that the signatures that you have are not valid. This is what happened to Matthew Hoh when he was running through the Green Party in North Carolina. This is what they claimed, that he didn't have valid signatures, or some of them were not valid. So that's a trick that they use to try to keep you off. The lawsuit was filed Thursday in the New York Supreme Court in Nassau County. It is the first ballot access lawsuit targeting Kennedy so far, coordinated by the DNC, which has been scrutinizing Kennedy's efforts to qualify for state ballots across the country. So this is interesting. The 2 plaintiffs, Elaine Smith and Andrina Wyatt, claim that about 115,000 of the 146,000 signatures submitted last month by Kennedy are invalid. So let's highlight invalid, right? Putting Kennedy well below the 45,000 signature threshold required to make it on the ballot. So typically what third party and independent candidates have to do is they have to get more signatures than what is required. So if it's 100,000 required, they'll probably try to shoot for 160,000 or something like that, because this is what the DNC and other orgs have been known to do to try to keep them off of that ballot, is to say that they don't have enough valid signatures. Now, the signatures are supposed to be a wet signature, but what they have tried to do before in the past, if they've tried to use the excuse that the person that signed their signature didn't use their full name as it is printed on their driver's license. It could be a middle name that's missing, but it's on the license. Just little things like that, that they'll try to do to get them off of the ballot. So it's interesting. Like I said, again, New York is not a swing state. So I would expect this to happen from one of the swing states, but not from New York. Now it goes on to say, they argue some signatures lack dates or addresses with no city or town listed. Others are illegible or signed by non-registered voters, they said, among a long list of other objections. So remember, the way that RFK Jr. was able to reach that threshold is that he had a lot of money. So he was able to pay people to go out and get the signatures. That is probably one of the easiest ways that you can do it, especially if you have the money, right? That's probably how Ross Perot did it. I don't know, because Ross Perot was like a billionaire. But the problem that you run into, particularly here, they're saying that there are dates that aren't there. There's addresses that aren't there. No town, no city listed. I doubt that all of those signatures that they said that are invalid are missing those things. They'll come up with different things. And then the other part here is that they're saying non-registered voters. So now they're starting to throw out signatures that are by people that are not registered voters. So this is really interesting. It goes on to say the lawsuit filed by attorney Jared Kesheev also alleges that paid canvassers hired by the Kennedy campaign to circulate the nominating petitions to New York voters knowingly and intentionally misrepresented and or concealed that they were asking them to sign their names to place Kennedy on New York's ballot. Now, I don't know if that's true. I would hope that was not true for his sake. But I mean, typically, what else would they have been signing their signatures for? Right? So that's interesting as well. In the case of Matthew Ho, they actually went to different homes of people that signed their signature. The DNC did this in North Carolina, and they said, did you realize that you signed for a Green Party's candidate? And one guy actually recorded it when they came to his door, and he said, yes, I knew exactly what I was doing, right? And they said, but that's going to hurt the Democratic Party. And that gentleman said, good, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party are terrible. That's why I signed my signature for Matthew Ho, for the Green Party. So they'll do that too. They've been known to go door to door to ask you if you meant to sign your name, or call you and ask you if you meant to sign your name. So they've been known to do that as well. So that has happened with RFK Jr. The lawsuit cites a New York Times article that detailed how some New York voters said they were told they were signing a petition to vaguely support independent candidates and were presented a petition that was folded over to hide Kennedy's name. Okay, so that wasn't suspicious to you when you were given the document to sign? If it was folded over, you didn't think that was suspicious? You didn't ask to look at the full document? You just handed over your signature? All of, how many did they say there were that they said were not eligible? Let's see. Let's go back up to that number. All 115,000 of them, all 115,000 people didn't question what they were signing or look at it. The Kennedy campaign did not respond to a request for comment. So they were served. The lawsuit Monday also include Kennedy's vice presidential candidate, Nicole Shanahan, and the New York Board of Elections. So Larry Sharpe was on the show last night, and this goes to something that he was talking about last night. The reality is they have been really, really hard in New York. New York, I think, has made it very, very difficult for third party and independent candidates just to get on the ballot. And Larry Sharpe went through that. Now, that's the situation with RFK, and that pertains to the state of New York. But there's also a lawsuit now against Jill Stein, and this one pertains to Nevada. Now, Jason Call was the first one I saw to put out the press less than 24 hours after qualifying for the Nevada ballot by submitting 29.5K signatures, where only 10K were required. The Democrats are suing both the Nevada Greens and the Nevada SOS to keep Jill Stein off the ballot. Papers served an hour ago. Disgusting display of fascism at the DNC. Who the hell is still voting for these pigs? Now, I wasn't surprised to see this with Nevada, because that is one of the states that the Democratic Party is losing to Donald Trump in right now, which I predicted would happen. Now, so there is a chance that they could lose Nevada. In fact, I'll say they probably will lose Nevada. So they are seeing Jill Stein as a threat, although I would say keeping Jill Stein off the ballot in Nevada does not necessarily help Joe Biden, because the reality is, even before Jill Stein was on the ballot in Nevada, before Jill Stein was announced that she was running, it was still very, very tight between Biden and Trump in Nevada in particular. And I think what Trump is probably going to be able to gain on in Nevada is the immigration issue that a lot of people that are in those like border states are discussing. So he may be able to use that to his advantage. This doesn't mean, that's the thing is laughable to me. Because if they keep her off the ballot in Nevada and Biden still loses Nevada, I'm just going to laugh my ass off. They're not paying attention to the American people. And you can actually see the document here. So Jason It says Exhibit 1, Nevada Green Party Notice of Continued Existence Pursuant to NRS. And there's another document here where it shows that it was dated June 10th of 2024. And then you can see the attorneys for the plaintiff there. So yeah, this is the DNC, you know, the party that says they care so much about democracy. This is what they are doing. I can actually skip that part and just go straight to Jill. So Jill did talk about this. She shared this on Twitter. Listen to this.
The anti-democratic party has just gone on the attack. The Green Party in Nevada and volunteers in Nevada collected 30,000 signatures. Incredible. 30,000 signatures in Nevada, 3 times the number of signatures that's actually required in the state after we submitted them. And the state then approved our campaign to have a ballot line in Nevada. Within 24 hours, there goes the anti-democratic party filing an injunction in court to stop our placement on the ballot. So we're going to go to court. We're going to fight this in court because it's outrageous. This is how, you know, full of integrity, inspiration, and democratic values the Democratic Party is. This is what they've been doing, actually, for decades. They did this in Matt Ho's campaign for Senate, where they impersonated the Green Party and made phone calls to persuade people to take their names off of the ballot petition. This is how they roll. They are quaking in their boots. They know that their days of controlling the political process are basically over. We, the people, will not continue to be thrown under the bus by the dirty tricks, corrupt Democratic Party. If you can go to JillStein2024.com and please make a contribution so that we can fight back together and stop the Democrats. Join this fight. Let's push back. Ensure that we're on the ballot in Nevada, ensure that we're on the ballot in New York, ensure that we're on the ballot in Illinois and Indiana and many other states. So let's keep it going strong. You're doing amazing work. This is totally awesome. Let's make it happen, and let's keep fighting.
Yeah, and Jill is so positive about all of this. To Soul's point, Jill has a great attitude. She really does. You know, she's been through this before. Like, I'm pretty sure she knew there were going to be at least, you know, some lawsuits that came her way because she's gone through this before. So she knew that this was a possibility, but it's really disgusting. And it just goes to show you that we do not have true democracy in this country, as I've said multiple times on the show. So when you hear politicians and you hear Democrat party figures say that we're protecting democracy, we have to protect our democracy. Be sure to let them know that if they cared so much about democracy, they wouldn't fight so hard to keep third party and independent candidates off the ballot. Don't fall for that. They're scared. They're very scared, particularly because I still think this is the time to seriously shake up the duopoly. And I think they realize this too. They know Joe Biden is not all with it. They know Donald Trump got his issues. And they know there's a lot of voters in this country that don't want either Biden or Donald Trump. And that scares them. Not to mention, I don't even think Joe Biden knows where he is half the time. So there's that as well. We got Dementia Joe, and we got crazy Donald Trump. I mean, they both, what do you get with that, right? So they're terrified. So they're trying to pull every trick that they can to keep people, the third party independent candidates, off the ballot. It's very shameful. They should be ashamed of themselves. Frank said, when I went to the DMV in Nevada, they asked me to sign a petition to get RFK Jr. on the ballot. And I straight up told the guy, I'm sorry, I can't in good conscience sign that. RFK Jr. sucks. Interesting. Well, it sounds like you were told the truth, Franco, right? Or Frank, I said Franco. Frank, sounds like you were told the truth. So it's interesting to note as well.